Breaking news. Ona Robinson, our queen of Pakistan, has made her return to New York. Blake Lively's donut shop is under investigation after she was over there spreading her little dead ends on our glazed donuts. And Justin Baldoni has filed his response to Blake Lively's motion to dismiss, and he does not miss a beat. Let's get it. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in, everybody in the club. Hi, guys. Hello. Happy, what's today? Oh, it's Friday. Happy Friday, guys. Happy Friday. Hey. Today, I said, hey. Yeah, I said, hey. Yeah. I hope you guys had a lovely week. There's a new episode of the Pop Report that's out right now. We're talking all about Kanye West and Bianca Censori and how he has a new song out about her. We talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, Jax Taylor, Teddy Mellencamp, lots of things that we get into. So if you're missing your Bravo news, we do a good Bravo recap on the Pop Report, and we get into some other general news. Today we're going to be talking about Ona Robinson here on No Filter. Ona Robinson, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, lots to get into. Did Kanye and Bianca split? Yes, they did. Tanya said she already watched this week's or today's new episode of the Pop Report. Yay. Zack, you're way too gratuitous towards Prick Vile. A boycott of his stupid show is well deserved. You don't need to boycott his show. You mean Nick Vile, not Prick Vile. But yeah. Oh, okay. So Ona Robinson. So a lot of people may not be familiar with her. So I did a recap that went viral, and a lot of people really loved my recap of our Queen of Pakistan, Ona Robinson. So I'm going to play my recap from Instagram Reels so that you can get caught up to speed, and then I'll give you the latest update on Ona. But here's the recap. I already did a great job the first time, so why not just play it again? Here you go. Lots of confusion about the lady in Pakistan, so I'm going to break it down for you, okay? Her name is Ona Robinson. She's from New York. She met this boy, 19 years old, online, and then she claims that they're married, and they got married in Utah via the online. But so like you do when you're a wife with a husband, you go check up on him. So she went to Pakistan to go see her husband, right? Like a good wife. Shows up, and he's like, hold on, wait a minute. This is not what you look like online. You catfished me. And she's like, no, I didn't. And then his family was like, oh, no, you didn't. You're not seeing our son. And so she's like, watch me. So she camps outside of their home, and she's just chilling there. And then obviously she gets the local press, and the family wants no part of this. So they flee Pakistan. They just pick up and leave. She's there with all the people of Pakistan, and then they fall in love with her. And she decides, she makes it her mission to make Pakistan great again. And so she's like the Donald Trump of Pakistan, and she's doing all these press conferences, and she does press conferences with Mr. Chippa. And Mr. Chippa, nobody really knows who Mr. Chippa is, but he's like not part of the government, but whatever. He's there, and she does conferences, and she doesn't like when Mr. Chippa talks too much, all right? And she's like, stop talking. She's like, you talk too much. And Mr. Chippa's like, okay, sister, okay.
Listen! You talk too much.
And she tells Mr. Chippa, don't you sister me. I'm not Tia or Tamara. Then we have Shabana.
You want to go back?
And Shabana, she says Shabana's on her team, and Shabana's the lady of Pakistan that takes care of her. Only to find out Shabana is the police, and she's literally her police escort. And so Shabana has to take her to the loony bin. Doing her nails, they're doing her hair, they're feeding her McDonald's extra salt because that's how she likes it. And so she's just made it her mission. She's telling the US, she's like, I need $100K for real estate so that I can make Pakistan great again. And $20K I'm going to keep for me. Give me that cash. I'm going to put it in my pocket. And all these people, $50K. $50K every 2 weeks. Pay them. And you're probably wondering, what is the US doing about all this? So they keep sending her flights because they're like, oh my God, you're embarrassing us. Get on a flight and come home. And so they keep sending her flights, and she won't get on the flight. She does not want to go home. She says she's Pakistani now. She's from Pakistan now. And people are like, were you born here? And she's like, no, but I'm from here now. And then she goes around the town like she's Bob the Builder, and she's critiquing hotels. And then if the hotel pisses her off, then she's like, you know what? I'm not saving your hotel anymore. Tear it down. And then she tells all the cameras, this hotel, they steal people's money. And then the hotel's like, who are you? And Shabana is tired. Like, you can just tell Shabana has had it up to here with Onijah.
Would you like to speak, Shabana?
Okay. And at this point, they finally convinced her to get on the plane. So they escort her to the airport and put her on the plane. And I guess somehow she never made it back to New York. She's now in Dubai. But now that she's in Dubai, people are like worried because she doesn't have a Mr. Chippa, she doesn't have a husband, and she doesn't have Shabana. Shabana needs to get on a flight and go save her. So I break it all down on the podcast. Yeah.
It's private, but no.
So there you go. That was my recap to catch up to speed on who Onijah Robinson is if you're a little late to the party here. And so Onijah has now been spotted back in New York. So she was in Dubai. She was stuck in Dubai for several weeks. She was in Pakistan since, I believe, October. And then she recently, I believe in January, February, she had a layover in Dubai and didn't end up like going from Dubai to New York. But she is now fully glammed and back in New York. And here is our update on Onijah. This is from TMZ.
I was asking, where have you been?
Well,
come on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm glad to be back in New York. I'm glad about that. I'm happy about that, to be back in New York. And that's all I have to say for right now. Follow my coins, follow everything.
Wait, Onijah, we got to ask you.
Yes.
So, we got to debunk some of these rumors, if that's okay with you, right?
Yes, that's okay.
So, we want to know, did you end up going to jail, or was that not a thing? Like, because everyone's saying she went to jail, she's stuck in jail.
Well,
what happened?
Listen, I didn't go to jail. I was just stuck in Dubai. It was a situation that happened in Dubai that I couldn't get over at the time, and that was it.
How long were you there for?
I was there for a month.
Wow, after Pakistan.
After Pakistan, yes, I was.
Are you still in contact with anybody from Pakistan?
Yes, I am. My husband, he lives in Pakistan. Shout out to Nigel. Ahmed, I love you, baby. We are together. We want to clear up
Wait,
the
is this a
rumors.
different guy?
No, this is one guy. This is my husband.
So you met...
See, this reporter doesn't even know what she's talking about. I should have been doing this interview. I know all the details. Her husband is Ahmed.
Someone else?
No, this is my husband, Nidal Hamid. His last name Mustag is his mother's last name.
Wait, so how did you meet this guy? While you were out there?
No, we met actually on a romantic date. You know, we had we met through the internet, basically.
Right. But is he in Pakistan?
Yes, he is.
No.
That's why she went to Pakistan. Who is this lady asking these questions? Get with the program. Somebody send her my recap reel.
Oh, so have you... Wait, okay, so when do you plan on going back?
You know, we're going to discuss that, but right now we all staying in New York soon.
Did you get the money? Did you get the land?
Listen, they going to give that land. They going to give that land. They going to give that 20K, that 50K out.
I love that. Well,
and that's it.
Because I know, like, you were online saying that, so did anyone give that to you? Were you able to raise anything?
Well, they was going to give me the 100K every week, but I left, so we...
She was going to get 100K every week, but she left.
I'm going to see what they're going to work on while I'm not there. I do have chips that have my face on it in Pakistan. I love you guys.
For real? In real life?
In real life.
You got to show us.
I miss you guys in Pakistan.
Can we see a movie on your life? Any projects that, like, you want to drop here?
Yes.
So there will be a movie in your life, maybe?
Yes, I will be having my own show out soon with my husband. Don't worry. Everything is exclusive. It's coming out. Add my coins. Thank you very much.
I love that. We got to get these coins.
Yes, add my coins. Later, TMZ.
Thank you, Onijah. Enjoy dinner.
Oh, my God. This woman is hysterical. She's hilarious. I love it. I love everything about her. She's my favorite thing that came out of 2025 thus far. I'm glad that she's back in New York and thriving and she's got her coin. I don't have faith in her marriage, but you know what? She does. So, excuse me. Mind your business. Berkeley says Elrich and Ashley, Brianna, Eve are talking about you currently on Elrich's. Are they saying good things? Are they saying good things about me, or they're talking smack? I was just supporting Elrich's charity campaign yesterday. Did she say chips on her face with them? Yes, she said chips on her face. That woman has crazy eyes. Yep, Carolyn says 100,000 a week. Right? That's what I want. I want me some 100K every week. Let's go. Speaking of 100K, we're almost at 100K here on YouTube. We're at 92,000. So guys, be sure to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, definitely be sure to subscribe. Please, 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 please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Okay. So that was our Onaja update, because I know a lot of us were following that, and then she kind of went MIA because she was stuck in Dubai, and people were like, oh my God, they're not going to let her fool around with her drama over there in Dubai. They're going to lock her up. Well, they got the situation settled, moved along, and now that's our Onaja update. Okay, let's move on to. Should we move on to Blake and Baldoni? Lots of good updates for Blake and Baldoni. Yeah, Tanya said subscribe. Zach will give. I'll give you 100K every week. 100K for real estate. 100K for real estate. 100K for real estate. Ooh, free agent girl 23 says, new here, doing my 10,000 steps as I listen. Ooh, I love it. And you have a profile photo that's Elizabeth Holmes. Let's hope you don't end up like her. She's behind bars. Besties with Jen Shaw. Hey. All right. Yes, let's talk about Blake Lively and her lovely her donuts. My goodies. My goodies. My goodies. Not my goodies. So as we remember, she was at this donut shop in Connecticut called Rise Donuts, right? And Blake Lively was like, oh my God, I'm going to give you my donuts. I'm going to feed you my goodies. And everybody was like, ooh, so yummy. And she was like, let's make America yummy again. Okay. Well, per TMZ, the Wilton Health Department says that they received a number of different complaints regarding Rise Donuts, and they're currently under investigation for not requiring Blake Lively to wear a hairnet as she was baking and serving up the donuts at the bake shop. They also had to disable the comments on Yelp because I guess so many people were going in and leaving so many negative reviews for Rise Donut Shop in Wilton. I don't know. Is this an overreach? Is that like how are we feeling? Yay! Welcome to the Zack Pack, Carolyn. How are we feeling about the investigation? Bing bop boom 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 bam says, are you going to talk about White Lotus? If so, can you give us a heads up? I'm not going to talk. I haven't caught up on White Lotus, so I don't have any spoilers to give you, but we are going to talk about the beef that's going on between Carrie Coon and Meghan McCain. Carrie Coon's one of the actresses on White Lotus. We'll get into that later on in the episode, though, after the Blake and Baldoni updates. But I won't give away any spoilers because I don't have any from White Lotus because I haven't finished watching. I'm a little behind. But so anyway, yeah, negative press for the donut shop. I mean, it's positive press for the donut shop, but like this investigation, I mean, so many people are complaining about the donut and the hair on the donuts, and I get it because it's kind of gross because her hair is kind of just dangling. Like, at least pull your hair back. You know what I mean? Because she's literally like over the donuts that like her dead ends are just going to be like brushing it with some fresh glaze. So, I mean, I feel bad for the donut shop because I'm sure they were like, oh my God, this is going to be such a good idea. And Blake Lively, and it's going to bring so much attention to the bakery. And surprise, it did, just not in the way that, it was meant to. I don't agree with everybody slamming the Yelp reviews because a lot of people that are leaving negative Yelp reviews for Rise are people that aren't even in Connecticut and not. They did this with Schwartz and Sandy's when Scandival first broke. They were slamming Schwartz and Sandy's with all the negative Yelp reviews, and then obviously Yelp had to come in and disable them and verify which were real and which aren't real. So I don't know, but so I don't like that. I don't like people flooding the Yelp page with negative reviews. I understand why they're looking into it. Do I think anything's going to happen? At best, the donut shop's probably going to have to pay some sort of small fine, but outside of that, I don't anticipate much more happening. Jacqueline says, Zach, I also heard that the owner was not wearing a cap, nor did she have her hair up, so it's not just Blake. Yeah, I mean, in that case, that definitely brings more, makes it worse, so to speak. She's acting like she just went over. Has anyone watched Savages? I have not. Christina says, bought my Justice for Justin and Mommy Sleuth shirts. Yay! Guys, yes, just a reminder, we have 1 week left of the campaign. We're raising money for the No More Foundation. No More, which is helping to bring awareness and support for survivors of DV and SV. All of my merch right now, if you go to nofiltermerch.com, all of my merch right now, I will be donating 50% of the proceeds. So you can get your Justice for Justin shirts. You can get your Mommy Sleuth shirts, your Daddy Sleuth shirts, as I was wearing yesterday. Donna Bowling, shout out to my friend Donna Bowling. She was wearing her Mommy Sleuth shirt on her podcast yesterday. So go check out Daily Dose of Donna so you can see the Mommy Sleuth shirt in action. You've seen me rock the Daddy Sleuth. You've seen me rock the Justice for Justin. So if you want to, go to nofiltermerch.com. Let's try to raise some money to support the No More Foundation. It's so wild. There are so many of these wackadoodle people, primarily on Threads. I've noticed it in the last week, especially, that there are so many of these like pro Blake accounts that have suddenly surfaced. A lot of them with like AI photos or not even using their faces or whatever. But like so many of them, they're really on Threads. And I get it. Threads is, a little more woke than X. Okay, got it. But because everyone like hated Elon, so they left X to go onto Threads. But like it's wild the number of people. Like I don't even look at all of the mentions anymore because so many of them. Like I'm like sharing the shirt and telling people like let's do this, and then they're like ripping apart the No More Foundation and being like you're only doing this so that you can get a tax write off, and I'm like. List all the other fucking influencers that you're calling grifters that are doing anything remotely close to this, right? I chose this organization. There was no we, that was me that made this decision. I chose this organization because it was the organization that Justin Baldoni wanted to support. Okay. That's why I chose this. 50%. I mean, people are like, why are you donating 50% and not 100%? I'm sorry. What is anybody else fucking donating? Like, name one other person that's doing a fraction more, especially all the pro Blake people that just want to run their fucking mouth and jizz on the donuts that she's wiping her hair all over. Good for you. I'm glad that you want to be out there and you're a social justice warrior and you got your little fingers. And you're like, because you think you're what? So fucking bad? Fuck off. Literally, fuck off. Okay. All the Blake, if you don't like my content, if you don't want to buy my merch, if you don't want to do anything because you all want to sit there and not put any of your money where your mouth is, like literally, fuck off. Okay. One more time. Should I spell it out for you? FUCKOFF period. Double period. Okay. For people that want to support the campaign, they can support the campaign. For people that don't want to support the campaign, don't support the campaign. Okay. There it is. Go to nofiltermerch.com. The link is in the description below. Support it if you want. Don't if you don't. Okay. But literally, nobody else that wants to be a fucking critic is doing shit. Jack shit. I don't see them doing GoFundMe's. I don't see them, doing merch campaigns. Like, make a Go Team Blake shirt. Team Blake, Justice for Blake, make it. Donate. When you make your Justice for Blake shirts and you donate 100% of the proceeds to whatever charity you think is better than the No More Foundation, then there you go. Okay? There you go. You can have the upper hand. But until then, lick my fucking asshole. Okay? Don't give a shit anymore. Fuck off. Sorry. It's just today was just the week, right? Like I was getting all the stupid Garcelle fans and all the crazy Blake fans, and I was dealing with some internal bullshit that I was trying to like this was just the week where it all accumulated at once, and I just needed to have a Zactivated pop off. That will never happen. I know it'll never happen. I know they'll never put their money where their mouth is, Rachel. I know they're not going to do anything because they're fucking losers sitting on their couch rubbing their sweaty balls. They only attack you because you don't support Blake, which is just wild, right? Isn't that cuckoo for coconuts? I thought you were going to say perineum. They can lick my perineum too, like Ryan Reynolds says. Did you order a shirt? Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys can order the shirts. I'm not going to beg anybody to order them. I'm not going to, like, if you want to, great. If you don't want to, great. It's just my goodness. Yes, we got a little Zactivated, shall we? Yes, we did. Same ones who won't open the borders, who want open borders, but won't open their doors. Yeah, Selena Gomez, not sweaty balls. Well, yeah, their balls ain't clean. The donut shop owner should have known better. I agree, especially if it was going to be like a publicity stunt where it was going to be widely, talked about, and obviously anything related to Blake is also going to be widely scrutinized. Yeah. Well, Janelle, It is. Oh, Mercury retrograde, babe. Okay. Well, when does that end? Can we get Mercury out of the microwave and put it back in the oven to just have a nice slow bake? Slow bake. But so, yeah. Kelly says it reminds me of the saying, no good deed goes unpunished. No shit, right? Well, let's actually get into this because Blake Lively issued her or filed her motion to dismiss, and Justin Baldoni is fighting back. He's saying, not today, Satan, not today. So, so let's get into it, shall we? Because I'm actually very I was living for the response that we got here from Mr. Baldoni. He makes I'm not gonna go through page by page. Donna Bowling did a great job of doing that. Court of Random Opinion did a great job of doing that. Or if you like to read the recaps, Leanne, who I talked about on the podcast yesterday, did a great job of recapping them. So if you want like more in depth, you can go and check them out. I think they put out some great content, so I don't need to go page by page myself. I just put together a summary from this morning of the overarching themes and strong points that I thought came out of Baldoni's response. So he makes some really strong arguments, specifically tying Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds to the principle of agency. And this is what I find really interesting. So, principle of agency, I think, was a smart move. It's creative. I don't know if it's fully going to stick. We'll have to wait and see. At least in the motion to dismiss, I think it's strong enough to move forward to dispute all of their motions to dismiss, because that's one thing that Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan and the New York Times, they're all trying to say, like, we had nothing to do with this. Like, if you're upset with Blake Lively for her statements that are defamatory, then that's your issue with Blake Lively. And Ryan Reynolds is like, listen, I have nothing to do with Blake Lively. Like, I should be dismissed from this judge because my comments didn't, had nothing to do with anything, right? And so what Brian Friedman does here is he very nicely, or the team around Friedman, right? Because obviously they have a big team, but Friedman's the forefront. And so Baldoni's legal team does a really good job of tying everything together. Just like I think they did a very good job with, was it Exhibit A, the full timeline that they put together? I thought the timeline was really strong because it makes things easy to understand. And so the principle of agency dictates that one party, the agent, can act on behalf of another party, the principal, creating a legal relationship where the agent's actions are bind to the principal. Okay. So in this case, Blake Lively would be the principal, and the people that are working on her behalf are considered the agents, right? So the agent's actions within the scope of their authority are legally attributed to the principal, meaning that the principal is bound to those actions. So Blake Lively in this case would be bound to the actions of her agents. Now, what are the agents and principals? Well, employees can act on behalf of their employer. Lawyers can act on behalf of their clients. They would be considered agents of the principal. So if you're an employee of a company, you're an agent of that principal, the company being the principal. Same thing with the attorney. So in this case, Brian Friedman would be an agent of Justin Baldoni, who would be the principal in this case. So Leslie Sloan, very easy to tie her as a paid agent to Blake Lively because she's her publicist. Blake pays her. She likely has a monthly retainer that Blake Lively and or Ryan Reynolds pay out. So Blake Lively, tying her as an agent to Blake Lively, very easy. But here's where they use Blake Lively's strategy against her, because Blake Lively doesn't pay Ryan Reynolds, right? He's not technically employed by her. He doesn't have a retainer. It's very unlikely that he gets any sort of monetary benefit from Blake Lively. So how do you prove that he's an agent? Well, if you'll remember, we had the January 4th, 2024 all hands meeting where Blake argued that it was her right to have a representative present during this all hands board meeting for It Ends With Us. Remember, we had Sony there, we had Wayfair there, we had the producers there, we had everybody there, right? So Blake argued that she had a right to a representative in these meetings, and she appointed her representative as Ryan Reynolds. He was her official representative, which officially loops him into the whole mess of It Ends With Us. Okay. Then they also jumped to Ryan Reynolds' comments to WME, claiming that this is the primary the primary defamation claim, right? Because Blake was trying to argue that there was a statute of limitations issue because the 17-point/30-point/20-point list was presented originally in November 2023. We're well past that point, so there was a 1-year statute of limitations that should have applied. But Baldoni's team is arguing, well, it's not necessarily that we're claiming the 17-point list is the defamation, but we're claiming that the statements made by Leslie Sloan and the statements made by Ryan Reynolds, that's the primary defamation, right? And because they were acting on behalf of Blake Lively, they were acting as agents of their principal, Blake Lively, then therefore those are the defamatory statements that are in that we're responding to when it comes to Blake Lively. So her harassment claims, we're not saying, that those are the primary defamation. We're saying it's Leslie Sloan statements and Ryan Reynolds statements, and they are agents of Blake. It's a very creative argument. Again, I don't know how strong it'll be in a court of law, but it is a very strong argument, or it's a very creative argument that I thought was nicely tying everybody together and makes a lot more sense, especially for the audience, right? And as we know, Ryan Reynolds' statements where he calls Justin Baldoni a predator directs that towards the agents at WME, who then, as Ari Emanuel confirmed, he was fired as a result of them being a ride or die for Blake and Ryan. It's interesting because you can really see how Friedman is 10 steps ahead of them with every argument that they present, right? Statute of limitations argument. He's like, actually, that doesn't count. Like, he thought that they were so busy being focused on trying to prove that Blake Lively speaking out against harassment and the 17-point list, that's what their team, Blake's team, was focused on when Baldoni's team was like, actually, that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on these other things that technically aren't protected by the privileges that Blake Lively is trying to use as loopholes, right? So they focus on the defamation stemming from Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds acting on behalf of Blake Lively, meaning they're not necessarily talking about Blake's allegations directly, but the alleged defamation stemmed from comments made by Blake's publicist and her on-set representative. Friedman then goes into the privileges individually, starting with the litigation privilege, okay? Because remember, those are the 3 privileges that Blake was trying to use as loopholes to get around and win her case: litigation, fair reporting privilege, and the sexual harassment privilege, the Me Too privilege here in California. So he starts with the litigation privilege, which they argue that they're not suing for defamation in the 17-point list, but rather the statements made by Leslie Sloan and Ryan Reynolds. And technically, Sloan and Reynolds are not protected by the litigation privilege. Even though this sort of protects Blake, they're not necessarily coming at Blake directly, but coming at her agents that were acting on behalf of her, essentially, is the argument that they're making. He also slams Blake Lively, claiming that she never planned to actually file a lawsuit. This is the allegation that they're making against her, saying that she never planned to file the actual lawsuit. She merely wanted to file, which was our own speculation regarding Blake's strategy here. He seems to be confirming that their legal team seems to agree with what a lot of us have been saying here online, that the CRD complaint was just to get the litigation privilege. He specifically writes, Lively did not ask the CRD to investigate Wayfair. She requested a right to sue letter and then did not sue for weeks. And she didn't sue for weeks, and she didn't sue until Justin Baldoni launched his lawsuit against the New York Times. Now, I don't know if that's the strongest argument, because technically when you get a right to sue letter, as we discussed with Daniel Feruzin, you have a year to sue. So the fact that it took her weeks to file it doesn't necessarily, I don't think it's the strongest argument, but it's a really strong point. We'll see how much that actually sticks. I am in agreement with Brian Friedman, but they would have to prove that. And technically you do have a year after you get your right to sue letter to actually file your lawsuit. So she's technically still within her legal parameters. We'll see how that plays out, though. But then they argue malice when it comes to the sexual harassment privilege, citing her Forbes interview. Remember that went viral when she was pregnant. She was on that panel for Forbes, and she was claiming that she needs authorship on every project that she goes on to, and she likes to pull the rug out from the people that hire her, because, she's hired as just an actress, but she thinks she brings so much more to that. So, as soon as she gets brought onto the project, then she fights for authorship of the project. And so they cite that here. I don't know if that'll actually stick, because that wasn't referenced in any of the first amended complaints. We haven't heard about this Forbes interview legally until this point now. Very similar to how a lot of the statements that Ryan Reynolds pulled from Baldoni that were outside of the FAC I don't know if this will stick, but it's a really strong point, and I think it is good evidence to show, the malice and the intent behind her trying to hijack the film, right? So we'll see. They also circle back to the metadata from the New York Times website. Remember the images that were uploaded to the New York Times server and the video that was uploaded to the New York Times server. The dates went beyond the week that the article was published, which was the same week that the CRD complaint was filed officially. So they claim that, they're not protected by the fair reporting privilege or the litigation privilege because this was worked on for quite some time, dating back to October is what it's believed. So we'll see. Yeah. So they're claiming that because they worked with the New York Times for months prior to the CRD filing, that disputes the fair reporting privilege. And the fair reporting privilege, just to recap, is what allows the press to report on a legal filing, a legal document. But obviously, you can prove malice and collusion with the timeline showing that they've been working on this for quite some time, which was well in advance of anything being filed officially. Tempers 9 says motion to dismiss her case as in Blake is taking back her claims. No. So there are two lawsuits. There's Blake Lively who's suing Justin Baldoni, and then there's the Wayfair parties that are suing Blake Lively. And so Blake is trying to get dismissed. Blake, Ryan Reynolds, New York Times, Leslie Sloan, they've all filed motions to be dismissed from Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against them. So they're not trying to drop their lawsuit against him. They're just trying to say, hey, judge, drop his lawsuit against us. We don't deserve to be sued. We shouldn't be sued. This is retaliation. Therefore, they want the judge to throw out Baldoni's, they want to be dismissed from Baldoni's lawsuit. They want the judge to throw it out and dismiss the case altogether, or at least dismiss them individually from the case. Sarah says, Zack, do you think Paul Feig will stand up for Blake in support that she does not try to take control of the film he directed? I don't know. Paul Feig definitely seems to be a fangirl. He's the director of A Simple Favor and Another Simple Favor, which is the sequel. So I don't know. He definitely appears to be very ride or die hard for Blake. So I don't know. I would anticipate that he continues to support her. Jude says she may have mentioned the Forbes interview in her amended complaint. I have to look, but I think she might have. Well, if she did, then it's admissible. But if not, it'll be interesting to see how those go. Depots will be epic. Will we be able to watch the recordings? To my understanding, they will be video depositions, but I don't know if, when, how those will be released. Those would technically have to be leaked somehow, or the press would have to gain access to them somehow. I'm pretty sure TMZ is already ready to jump on those depositions as soon as they're ready. Some pieces may be redacted because of Blake's attorney's eyes only protection that the judge granted, but he very heavily limited that scope. Zack, what if she just apologizes? I mean, that's definitely something that she can do, I would imagine. If she wants to settle and apologize, I agree. But so, okay, so here's what's interesting about the response that Friedman filed on behalf of Baldoni against Blake. So he also references this Noor-Pennington doctrine, and he claims that the Noor-Pennington doctrine applies here because the new Me Too protection is yet to be fully understood and used. Here's a quote from the response. It says section 47.1, which we've dove in pretty deeply into. I know the Ask Two Lawyers guys dug into that as well, and they looked at both sides of that coin. I had Daniel Feruzin on the podcast to dive into that further. So Friedman writes, Section 47.1, which took effect on January 1st, 2024, has not been addressed in a single published or unpublished judicial decision. Thus, the court's treatment of the statute will be a matter of first impression. Now, the Noor-Pennington doctrine is rooted in the First Amendment's right to petition the government, and it protects individuals and groups from antitrust lawsuits arising from their efforts to influence any sort of government decision-making, okay? So the doctrine applies to efforts to influence the legislation, administrative bodies, or the courts through litigation. In this case, it would be the Supreme Court out of New York. So they're claiming that Blake does not have immunity here because like I've said many times on this show, this case could potentially influence legislation or how this Me Too protection is used in the future, because it hasn't officially been, to my understanding, what they're arguing here is that it hasn't officially been used in any jurisdiction, because it's something that was just presented a little over a year ago. Last January is when it became, was it 2023 or 2024? Hold on one sec. 2024. It took into effect January of last year. So it's only been put into law in the last year. And so we don't know how this is going to apply in these cases. And so he makes a good point of saying that, like, this is going to be, a bit of a landmark decision here, like, we don't know how this harassment privilege is going to play out. We haven't seen it play out. So this case specifically is a matter of, setting that precedent. And this case would absolutely do that. And I said this from the beginning. This case could potentially change how harassment lawsuits are treated moving forward, and how, some of the loopholes that people can use and abuse this system, right? Same thing with the press privileges. I said it with the harassment privileges and also with the press privileges. Depending on how this plays out, if the New York Times gets dismissed or not, could potentially really affect the laws that protect the media, because we're now seeing that, there are certain loopholes that they can always jump through. We'll have to wait. We'll see. Friedman takes a dig at Ryan Reynolds by claiming that Blake Lively is married to a marketing company owner, and that Ryan Reynolds' company was also contracted to do promotion for It Ends With Us. So Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively should have known that marketing a movie about DV while promoting her alcohol brand was maybe not the smartest marketing move. Like, he's like, they're not dumb. They obviously were marketing this. Ryan Reynolds was part of the marketing because his marketing company was contracted and was paid for by Wayfair to do promos for the film. And obviously, they were behind the promos for the film, and the promos ultimately didn't land. It's like the weird Brandon Sklenar interview where Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds mother, they're all interviewing Brandon Sklenar about his involvement with Blake Lively. I don't know. It's strange. But so, yeah. Took some shots there. It was good. Elise says, I thought Ryan Reynolds was a marketing genius. I mean, he thinks so, and it seems like his marketing fell flat. So it's not so much the result of a smear campaign as much as it's just a result of Ryan Reynolds' poor marketing skills. And her hair brand, her hair care brand as well. Yeah. So Blake, her team has issued a statement. And so I'll read the statement for you, because this is their response. Blake Lively's team says, Baldoni, Sorowitz, and the rest of the Wayfair parties are now arguing that nobody should be protected by the sexual harassment privilege. They're not just saying that it doesn't apply to Miss Lively. They're saying that it's unconstitutional and no woman should ever have these protections. That's right. Justin Baldoni, the man who's built his brand on supposedly speaking up for victims, believes that the First Amendment rights of victims of assault and harassment to speak out should give way to the rights of perpetrators to sue their victims into oblivion, which is what Friedman said when he was on Megyn Kelly. The statement accused Baldoni and his team of being so hell-bent on trying to destroy Blake Lively that they're willing to shred a law designed to protect all victims just to make sure they bury one. Strong statement, but my God. It's ridiculous. We've seen them make these types of statements before, where they claim that that this is retaliation and that this is the victim blaming from Baldoni's side. It's dumb. It's literally dumb. I don't think anybody's falling for it, and if they are, they're kind of dense. Yeah. Rabbit Hole says, hit the like button. Yes, guys, hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button yet. Hit it. Get it. I'm going to dip into the live chat and see what you guys are thinking about her response to Baldoni's response and just the arguments that Friedman outlined in his response. But very quickly, I want to give a quick shout out. We got another review on Apple Podcast that I want to SCL Huff says, amazing show and the how passion. I love the show is fun, serious when it needs to be, full of information and his own opinions. Zack listens to his followers. He's really engaged. I also love Candace Owens and agree you need to have her on your show as a guest. Got to know about you by watching Daily Dose of Donna. I feel like all three of you have something in common. Your passion for the truth, for remaining curious, passion for your job, and love that you remain true to yourself. Don't lose your genuine self. You are amazing. Thank you for believing in people, no matter if they are a minor or big shark. I love your quote, falling out of a coconut tree. I started saying that to people or myself. Haha. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Shelby Meanigan says, well, Janelle, I love a good zaddy. I only listen to him when he says, well, Janelle, it ain't looking good for Blake Lively. That's my well, Janelle of the day. Elise, yes, Elise makes a really good point here. Elise de Marivelis. Elise says, Justin's trying to say that people are equally protected under the law, that there's no legal precedence for believe all women. Yes, and that's what Blake is trying to lean on, is believe all women, believe all victims. And they're saying, well, yes, we should believe victims and survivors for sure. But in this case, the law doesn't give them blanket immunity, which we saw Blake wanted a blanket immunity with her attorney's eyes only protection. Lee to the R says, Ryan Reynolds can't be wrong. He's a genius. Humor is on target for a movie about TV. Jacqueline says, I always hit the button as soon as I get your announcement because I already don't love everything safe. Thank you. Cindy says, I think the campaign you are doing is amazing. Thank you, Cindy. Just a reminder that the campaign is the justice for, we're raising money for the No More Foundation. 50% of the proceeds of all merch proceeds for from now until from now until April 11th, I will be donating 50% of all of my personal proceeds from the merch sales to the No More Foundation. So thank you, Cindy. You can order your merch at nofiltermerch.com. And that goes for all merch, not just the Justice for Justin shirts or the Mommy Sloop shirts. Free Agent Girl 23 says, all this legal talk is going to come in handy in case I go to jail. Why would you go to jail? Don't go to jail. Jacqueline, yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Angelina says, is it too late for them to add in evidence? I believe they can amend their complaint and add in more should they need to. Baldoni is a victim of her slanderous accusations. Well, we have to wait until that's proven in court. I tend to agree with you that I think that that's where this is going, but we have to wait for that to actually be proven in a court of law. Wanda says we're basically lawyers at this point, right? Why won't they release the birthing scene? Oh, I'm sure that's in their back pocket, Ashley. You have to remember, they're playing a very smart long game. And so I think that the birthing scene video will be showed at some point. Sandeb says, without a crystal ball, showed Blake Lively slipping Justin Baldoni the tongue. Who knows if he consented? Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, I guess in that case, they would still argue that Baldoni, it was his responsibility to make sure that he got consent from Blake Lively first. I'm sure they'll try to argue that it's the ultimate responsibility still falls on Lively, or still falls on Baldoni. Russian 02 says, if the judge asks Baldoni's team to amend their complaint, what arguments or changes could Friedman include in the amended complaint to convince the judge to allow the case to move forward? I think the case will move forward regardless. I don't think that anybody's going to win their motions to dismiss. So I don't think there's anything for him to really amend at this point. I'm sure they have their legal strategies. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not working on this case, so I don't know what other surprise cards they may have up their sleeve, but we'll see. Angelina says, do you think that they could use Ryan Reynolds' interview about whacking Nicepool after he admitted to Nicepool being based on Justin? I'm sure they can. Amy says, I love a Zack rant sometimes, but ... ick. Sorry, Amy, that my charity campaign icks you. Teresa says, maybe she should just have a safe word like pineapple. Jem says, my birthday is tomorrow. Just bought a Justice for Justin shirt. It's my birthday gift to myself. Thank you, JEM Jem. Happy early birthday, my love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cat says, I always thought Blake's hair was so frizzy and dry, and then I saw the donut photo and realized she wears hair pieces that are also frizzy and dry to match her hair. Does she wear hair pieces? How did you catch that? Is that true? Let's pull that photo back up and see. I didn't see her wearing hair pieces. Maybe. Oh yeah, I guess I don't know. Are those hair pieces? I don't know. Okay, well, the last thing I wanted to talk about today before we wrap the show is this beef that's going on between Carrie Coon and Meghan McCain in regards to the new season of The White Lotus. So drama, another day, another drama. This one was kind of fun though, because these two seem to be going back and forth, right? So Coon plays plays Lori on The White Lotus this season. No spoilers, so in case anybody's watching it, I don't have any spoilers that I will share because I'm still behind on this season. I think I'm only 3 episodes deep, so I have to catch up. I will catch up this week. Anyway, Carrie Coon. So Coon plays Lori on this new season of White Lotus, season 3, and Lori is a Democrat, and one of the other women in the show plays Kate, and Kate is a Republican, or she comes out as a Republican, right? So there are these three ladies. They're on vacation here in Thailand, and they're taking this girls' trip. And there's one scene, I believe it's in episode 3, where they're sitting down, and Kate comes out, and Kate says that she voted for Donald Trump. And so Lori and their other friend, they're like, what? They're kind of like shocked by this. So Coon did an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, Carrie Coon, who plays Lori. She did an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, and she said that people like Meghan McCain and her community are really gratified to see a conservative person on television. And then she continues by saying, I have conservative people in my life who reached out to me to say that that was an awesome conversation because I don't think it vilifies Kate. And then Meghan McCain responded on X, and Meghan said, yes, Carrie, I am gratified that a conservative character represented on The White Lotus is the responsible, family-oriented one, not making a fool of herself, unlike the progressive liberal you're representing who's sleeping with hotel staff and showing her tits to everyone. Oof. I was like, oof. I feel like Meghan came in a little hot at Carrie. I mean, I get it. I feel like conservative characters in these shows are not often represented, in how they view themselves, which is very family oriented, conservative values. I feel like they're often, in movies, TV shows, in media as branded as religious extremists or, racists or, white supremacists as Republicans or conservatives have been called in the past, are lacking empathy. So I feel like it's interesting that I get Megan's point about being like, it's nice that there's a character on Max in this really popular show that is conservative, that isn't a villain here, you know? And so, but I feel like Megan did come a little hard. I do love me some Megan McCain, but I felt like it was a little spicy. And so I guess this stemmed from another, um, it stemmed from a series of tweets that they went back and forth on, which I didn't even realize they were um, exchanging words. I didn't realize they were fighting. And so I guess it started from this post from Meghan McCain. This post on X, this tweet. And Meghan tweeted out and she said, and this was in response to Trump's State of the Union. This was back or early March, so about a month ago. Meghan tweeted, "This is the first time I can remember crying during a State of the Union. Thank you, President Trump. This is so beautiful. Anyone who has been impacted by brain cancer knows how special this is." I believe that this was directly in relation to Trump making a statement about, trying to protect women by, keeping men out of women's sports, specifically in reference to people that are trans, and how, very controversial issue on whether trans women should play in sports with biological women. And so this was Meghan McCain's response to the State of the Union, which then was met with a response from Carrie. And Carrie said, "Who's gonna tell her?" And I don't know what Carrie was insinuating necessarily. Maybe Carrie meant, like, who's gonna tell her that, like, Trump isn't really for women or doesn't support women. I don't know what Carrie was trying to imply here, but then it was really funny because, um, Meghan McCain then responded and clapped back at that, and Meghan wrote back to her, or she didn't write back to her, but she quote tweeted her when she said, "Who's gonna tell her?" And she used the GIF that was popular and that was going around about the other woman of the friend trio on White Lotus of Kate, who's the conservative character on the show this season, and the moment where Kate discloses that she voted for Donald Trump, and her friends are like, "What? You did?" And she was kind of just like, Kate was kind of like, "Mhm, mhm, I did." So Meghan then used that image in response to Carrie about like, "Mhm, who's gonna tell her? Mhm, yes, I did support the State of the Union." So, spicy, the ladies is fighting on X. There's been no response from Carrie so far. We'll see. Tarifi C says, "Do you watch White Lotus? OMG. I watched the first season. I didn't watch season 2, and I just started season 3. I'm about 3 episodes deep into season 3, so we'll get there." Um, oh, Lynn says it was about the little boy who has cancer. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Lynn, for clarifying. That's what Megan was responding to with her tweet. It was about the boy with brain cancer, I remember, and then that was controversial because there were a number of people from the Democratic Party that didn't stand up and applaud him. Yes, I remember that now. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, it wasn't in relation to keeping men out of women's sports. It was the brain cancer. Yes, or the young boy with cancer. Thank you, Frankie, for clarifying Frankie's World. So, there we go. There we are. Thank you for clarifying that, guys. I think that's all I have for you. I did have Maybe I'll save it for members only. I had one other thing, but I'm like, maybe I think we've covered the range of topics enough for today. But like I said, guys, you have 1 week left to order your new merch. The Mommy Sleuth shirts, as we saw Donna Bowling wear on Daily Dose of Donnie yesterday. We have Justice for Justin shirts. We have Daddy Sleuth shirts. We have Zack Pack hoodies. We have Zacktivated tank tops. If you love my Zacktivated merch. Tanya, we'll do members only today. We'll do it this afternoon in a couple of hours. I'll make sure we do that. MO is members only. So if you want to join members only, maybe we'll go through some of the, I don't know, tell me what you guys want from members only today. I'll put a poll on Instagram and you guys let me know whether you want to do more legal deep dives, whether you want to just get drunk and shoot the shit. I do have something in response to the criticism that people were giving me about Jenny McCarthy, because I was like, oh, I'm glad that she's talking about the PR campaign that was lodged against her all those years. And people are like, well, I remember watching her in those interviews, and those interviews are not fully genuine. Should I just play it here? Because I have I had all those. Oh, Russell Brand. That's crazy. I don't know enough about it. I just know there was an investigation and there were charges then filed. Maybe we'll cover that on the show. We'll do a deep dive on the show on that next week. Possible. But yeah, we can definitely, maybe that's what we'll do on members only today is we'll go into the allegations and the documents against Russell Brand. For members only. I see he's responded. Yeah, there's a lot to it. Okay, so we'll get into the Russell Brand of it all in today's members only, which we'll do in just a couple of hours. Let's get this episode uploaded and put out there on all the platforms. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Leave an Apple Podcast review. Be sure to get your merch. All merch between now and April 11th. I'm going to be donating my personal proceeds from the merch sales. 50% will go to the No More Foundation to help bring awareness for DV and SV and let people know what services are out there and available for people that may be struggling right now. Thank you, guys. I love you. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. That's my personal account, or you can follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack on Instagram. All right, guys. Ciao for now. Bye. Bye.